Welcome back to the Momentum Podcast. Got a guest today, an old head, original OG, Austin Mack.
Ain't that crazy?
In the building. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now you know what it feels like body-wise when you got to go and warm up, all the laughs that you had. But we got Austin Mack in the building, and Austin is here. Definitely want to share some of his experience that he had in his development and his progress and what he's done up until this point. He's, obviously there's a lot that he's accomplished, but I think is definitely good for a lot of young people to learn from him and hear from him directly. He's been in town for what, a couple days? No, a couple weeks.
A couple weeks. Yeah.
Couple weeks. And he's about to head out here in a little bit, so captured him before he left. So Mack, I'll let you introduce yourself. I think a lot of people know who you are, or on the surface level know who you are.
Right.
We can get to know you a little bit deeper today.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody, man, it's nice to be here. Austin Mack, former Bishop Lures graduate, attended the Ohio State University, graduated in 2019, and now currently a New York Giant. So happy to be here. Let's chop it up.
Let's go ahead and chop it up. So just talk to us a little bit about your first year, your rookie year, your experience. I know you was on a practice squad, and then you got moved up. And
yeah,
how was that experience?
Yeah, man, it was a grind. For those that y'all don't know me, man, I wasn't blessed to be first rounder, man. I got drafted in the 8th round. People that don't know. So it was a grind, uphill battle, man. We had to deal with COVID, so I didn't have a pro day, didn't have a lot of other things to get seen by scouts and other teams. So I had to take the most of what I had. Got into camp, man, and just put my head down, bro, and just grinded. And it was a grind. This was probably one of the hardest camps I ever did. Even in college, man, we didn't have no preseason.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're going 6 to 8 every day.
What was the mindset like knowing? I mean, because you started, in your career obviously young, and then Bishop Lures, you became an All-American, and then you went to arguably one of the better schools, in the country, and then you get undrafted, and so you had a peak in high school. You were on a high at Ohio State. And then you get to the pros and you're undrafted. What was the mindset like coming from where you were to where you are?
Yeah, man, I got humbled, man. It's definitely been a humbling experience, man. There's been a lot of adversity. And I think that more than anything, man, that's been the greatest thing about my journey is that it's just been a battle. I mean, and that's life. You know what I mean? It really hit me, man, when I broke my foot at Ohio State. That's really when mentally I was defeated. And for those that don't know, man, in 2018, we're playing Purdue. So when we got beat by Purdue, broke my foot, ended up having a 6-month recovery process. But when it comes to being defeated, mental health, depression, not even wanting to get out of bed, that was me. And it was just this uphill battle to want to fight, get back. Feeling good, I thought, right? Going into the camp for senior year, pulled hamstring. And then, sensational receiver Chris Olave really started getting on the map that camp. And I'm watching like, he's that deal, and come into them battling a position. It's your senior year, you're stressed out. It's like, what's gonna happen? But man, it's like at the end of the day, I was like, okay, this guy's playing it. There's gonna be a good thing that's gonna come from this. Just keep working, keep putting your head down, and that's kind of what I did, man. And then going into this year, it was just like, I'm from Fort Wayne. I came from nothing. 2007, I was almost on the street, so I ain't got nothing to lose. So I'm gonna go out there and give it my all. And if I don't make it, I don't make it. I got backup plans, but I'm about to make it. I don't care what they say. I gotta, be different. And that was the goal. And I went in there, and it's still my presence. They felt me every play, every time I was out there. And that's how you get known. You know what I mean? And I'm undrafted, so you had to be different. That was it. You know what I mean?
And so we started with them getting to know who you are today, just a little bit. Let's go all the way back to when you was that fat little chubby dude that and I'll put it on social media, the picture. But Austin used to be fat, and he used to look like Chicken Little.
Come on, man.
The glasses where you look like Chicken Little. I think your mom moved it to. It's one of those picture frames that has you every single year, and then there's like a one big picture, and he looks whatever you. If you just go look at Chicken Little, he look exactly like that.
So what he's talking about, man, is my mom. She loves pictures. She loves memories, right? She got this little mural of me from like elementary school all the way to when I got to senior high school. So you see the transformation. He's talking about the glow up stage. Y'all.
I've never went through that stage. But let's talk about that, because you were a lineman.
I was.
You were a lineman, and you ended up getting to high school, slimming down. So obviously there's a lot of thank you to God because of the process. Some people just should be thanking God. You were one of them because the process actually allowed you to grow and develop. But you got to freshman year and you became a receiver. And just kind of talk to us about that, because what I want to hit on as it relates to that is personally some things that I experienced with you that kind of helped you and aided you in the process.
Yeah. So as a lineman, all in Pee Wee. I had the black stripe. I was the guy that was a guard and I played tackle or center. I was that guy. And I loved it. I played PAL. Didn't do the Metro Road, so I played PAL. It was fun. When I was a kid, I didn't play. I just played sports to play sports because it was fun. 7th grade years was or 6th grade years last year, PAL. 7th grade, I was at Kikianga, and I'm like, okay, what do I want to play? So played quarterback. And it was the first year I was actually a skill player. So the 7th, 8th grade year, I was a skill player. Didn't really know what I was doing. I was just an athlete. I was just out there just playing. And then, as you know, I met you in my freshman year, and that's when it really took off. And then, prioritizing football and the receiver position was such a big thing. And
there was a time, and one of the chief characteristics that Austin has is that at that time he was a really, really good listener. And in terms of being a student, he really embraced that role. And he trusted the process, and he didn't deviate from the process. He just went through with it, and whatever happened. But he trusted it, and obviously it paid off for him. And one of the things that, from a trainer standpoint, I know that when I first got into training, I never even envisioned myself doing this. Everybody has this grand vision of themselves, and then obviously life comes in and says, "This is what we're gonna do with you."
Really gonna do.
And that's what happened. And so when I got into the training thing, I was looking for the opportunity to train high-level athletes. That was, I think a lot of trainers get into it wanting to do it. And then obviously, in Fort Wayne, you don't have right away high-level athletes or high-level players. They have to be developed across the board. And what I was faced with was the decision to either remove that mindset or to really focus on developing athletes or develop them at a high level. And so in Fort Wayne, if you guys are familiar with the city, it definitely produces a lot of athletes, but when you talk about, or produces a lot of players at high levels, but when you talk about the athletic aspect of it, we don't really have a great deal of supreme athletes. And so we have to work in the process, and we have to. Go through a progression in a program that allows us to maximize.
It's like what college wants to come to Indiana for football? Every college is at every Florida, every Texas high school, trying to find the next whoever. It's like we have to do extra to even get our name out there, so I'm already knowing.
Yeah, and the thing with Austin came, he had all the material to be great, but there's a lot of people who have all the material to be something, and they never get to that point based on whether it's the process not being developed right, or sort of ingredients being off a little bit, and kind of how you mix up the environment and what you're giving them, it can alter the product of an individual. Right. And for me personally, he was one of the first people that when I took that mindset on, I put a lot of emphasis into. And one of the things that I will highly suggest to trainers is that when you are our coaches, is that when you're working with an individual, really your knowledge is tested based on what you're trying to produce. And sometimes, when you get a good player, you take credit for individuals that already are doing certain levels of productivity or having certain levels of productivity. Challenge yourself and go with players who are doing nothing, because that's where you determine what type of trainer you are, what type of trainer you can be. And, for me, Obviously there's a lot of factors that play a role into it, whether it's family support or whether it's the individual himself. But just being able to go from nothing, and there's a thing that I focus on it's called development from scratch. So I don't even like training high-level athletes if you already got to a certain point, right? If I wasn't with you in the beginning, I just really don't have that desire to intervene and to help you. Like all of the athletes that I want to work with, they have to either be nothing at the start, or have the material, or just really not known, and then we can work from there. And that's my challenge personally, is I want to work with people who nobody know of. I want to work with people who are the underdogs, because I know that's what I was when I was growing up. And so I know Austin, everything happened really, really fast, because Austin became an All-American. And I was like, going through the process and system with recruiting and everything. And when he became All-American, it was a little bit easier than I thought it was, but it obviously took me challenging myself to help him. And there's a lot of self-reflection when you're trying to help an athlete become something, because this dude, I remember sitting down and reading books with him, and we would read books, and this dude would just keep asking questions over and over again. I think some questions that you used to ask got you in trouble, not me, but you had to deal with the consequences of asking questions all the time. And when he didn't get an answer, he was damn near offended because he didn't get an answer for something. So the student aspect of him was really a chief characteristics as to why he got to where he was. But there's another element of him that I think people should be aware of. And, Austin, he spends a lot of time really grinding, not for himself, but obviously he, started in a certain situation. You've seen the downs of a lot of experiences, but then you have a younger sister that is very dear to you, that you spend a lot of time trying to help and really, put in positions to be successful. So let's talk about Elise a little bit, because that's your baby sister, and obviously she means so much to you.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the world, man. More than anything, man, it's just family. And as I say this all the time, my parents gave me a great foundation of morals and beliefs, but when it came with you and AWP and Mike Lito and the Virgils and the Twines of the worlds, man, you guys helped raise me to be a man. You know what I mean? And got that purpose, got that why. And before I got to college, I kind of had this understanding of, where I want to be at. What's my goals? What's my purpose? What's my drive? And for me, man, she's 18. She about to go to college, and I haven't been here as a big brother. So, like for me, it's like I want to be able to keep pushing those same beliefs and those same mindsets and challenge her, because, I'm doing me, but what's she doing? And I want to keep challenging her to be great. And in the same time, I hope she's doing the same thing for me and keeping me accountable. It's crazy just how we saw Lil Henry, man, it's crazy when you come back to town, man. Yeah. People were growing up on you, man. It's crazy, but yeah, she's big, man. She's gonna be successful, and she has a lot of bright goals. So I'm excited to see her growth. She says she's gonna be a marine biologist. You want to bet that changes in about 2 years?
I'm not betting that. I
hope it does well, but that's tough. So let's just pray on that. But yeah.
And we'll give a special shout out to Henry Scruggs. Go follow him. I do not know I don't know if he has an Instagram, but Henry Scruggs, follow him on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Maybe they'll add it below so that actually he can have it. But Austin also had something too that has been really good and helped him, be successful. He had a really strong support system. His mom and his dad were very, very supportive. And I remember his mom asking me one day, it was early in the process. I think it was freshman year, and she always wanted. She was not willing to let go of Austin. Like she just wouldn't let go. And she asked me, well, what do I need to do in this whole process? And my response simply was, just be a mom. You don't even worry about anything that goes on outside of, when he gets to that point of making a decision, you intervene and make sure that he's okay, but just be a mom. And she was just a mom. I remember when I was at the house and we were playing, was it Madden or it was a video game?
Yeah, she was
screaming in a chair. And I was like, it's not even that serious. It's a video game. And she's literally screaming in the chair, going for Austin. and she couldn't decipher or really separate the fact that it was a video game and not real life, and she was supporting him like that. So, but she's been very, very supportive. Wherever you make your decision to go, I know Dad has been very supportive and giving you the free will to make decisions and grow as a man. And Mom has been wherever, she's been right there behind you. So
that's the beautiful thing, you know. And I think, you know, it's a great lesson that I think all parents can take from it. You know, it's like you wanna raise your children as best as you can. When they get to that point and these crucial decisions, like where to go to school, and you can just help guide them in the right direction. You know, make sure you check all the boxes. But when it comes to making that decision, you know, it was dope knowing that, you know, it was my true decision. You know how many teammates I know? Oh, it's the uncles of the world, it's the moms, dads, you know, who have forced or have pushed a different agenda, and it's like, you know, this is my role. At the same time, you know, you had your time. I mean, you know, so it's like let me do mine. Let me make my mistakes. Let me learn. Help guide me, be here for me, you know. But at the same time, you know, those are crucial decisions down the road that I'm glad I was able to make on my own.
And you played for, obviously you went to Ohio State, so you played for Urban Meyer, and right now he just accepted a position as the Jaguars head coach. How was that experience for him? Because a head coach that successful, there has to be some crazy going on in his mind or crazy going on in organization in terms of strict and discipline and detail. And how was that experience working under being a player under them?
So you know, you got there's two type of players. You know, you're gonna have players that say they love him. I'm one of those guys. You know, that's my favorite coach. But then you got the guys who can't stand him. And Coach Meyer, he's a psych major. He wants to really get into your head. He's the type of guy when as soon as you step into that building, he's gonna make sure he's gonna challenge your accountability, your discipline. I mean, everything. Right? He's gonna put you down so bad to see if you either gonna rise up or if you gonna fall. And I mean, and it worked. That's why, like in these big games, people pull through because of the pressure. And he would. I mean, there was a time my freshman year. I mean, I think I'm going against Marshawn or Garyon. I mean, first round corner. I might have got locked up, and he's like, "Mack, come here," you know. He said. And probably didn't say it just like this, right? A little different. He was just like, you know, you're so bad that you need to leave and go to Indiana State. and like as a freshman, I'm like, you know, but it's like, this is what you have to do. Like for all coaches, you know, for the kids listening, there's going to be coaches that are the yelling type. There's going to be the coaches that are more laid back, chill. But the guys that are yelling, stop looking at the emotion. What are they yelling at? Okay, my technique is bad. Okay, that's what I need to focus on. Okay, you're doing all this yelling, but what I really want to focus on is you're telling me that I got locked up because I didn't do this technique right. Okay, got you. So all that yelling is going in ear out the other, but I'm making sure that I'm focused on what you're really trying to get at. You know what I mean? And that's the pinpoint. Like a lot of guys, you know, they'll get yelled at and they'll just crumble under it. It's like, you know, relax. You know what I mean? Like don't tense up, relax. Yeah, you might have messed up. It's okay, but that's the part. You know, there's going to be a lot of failure. There's going to be a lot of trials, a lot of bumps, but you got to rise from it. You know what I mean? And take the bits and pieces from those coaches that are that you know, that strict. So.
And you spoke a little bit on Virgil Tharp, just talking about how he was a part of the supporting staff or cast for you growing up. Virgil was the one, I believe, that started RES. And he got to a point where some things happened with him in terms of adjustment of roles, and you had the opportunity to take that concept to school. And when you took that concept to school, it became one of the biggest organizations on campus. Talk to us a little bit more about, because you have a focus that's so much bigger than sports.
Right.
And RAS was one of those ones that was a fulfillment of your focus outside of sports.
Right. For those that don't know, man, RAS stands for Redefining Athletic Standards. And it's in Fort Wayne, it was a camp. You know, basically we'd compete, right? We'd have 101s or, you know, our 707s. But not only that, we'd get together and have talks, man, and ask the question, I mean, simply like, what does it mean to be a man? You know, I don't know how many times I heard that as a kid from 15 to 18. And just deep conversations and thinking that people don't get to their in their 20s or maybe even later. And it's like having that at such a young age helped me mature so much quicker. Yeah. And when I got to college, it was like, the culture, the environment of these guys, it was, people came in. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I want to get in and get out too, but there's more to you. You more than just that number with that helmet on, or you more than just that guy with that jersey on, playing your specific sport. And so what I wanted to do was, create a community within the community that we already have. All the football players hang out with the football players. The basketball players hang out with the basketball players. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, I got these relationships, but these guys on these other teams going to be successful too, and we need to get to know them. Obviously there was some camaraderie, but it wasn't, I want to hear what you, I want to know more about you, like this and that. So what I did was I took that concept to Ohio State and I created an organization for minority male athletes where we could get together, have conversations, create events, basically create a community that had brotherhood within our own community, because there's nothing like that in the whole country. I spoke at the University of Texas in Austin, and I took the concept and I spoke. And I mean, there's multiple universities that want to take it there, and it's something that is needed. I mean, we had events from mental health, from talking about girls, to what's going on in life today, because people need to talk about that. Like what just happened in the Capitol isn't normal. And for people that look like, us, sometimes just built-in anger or stress, people need to let that out. And sometimes having like-minded people around you to talk like that and be upfront and open up, it's a beautiful, time to have that safe space. And that's kind of what I wanted to create. Because sometimes you don't always feel safe talking in the locker room. You know what I mean? Or vice versa anywhere else. Or maybe you just don't feel like I could speak freely. So what's so great is that it's still going on, and they're still going strong over there at Ohio State, and hopefully they can be able to take it to the next universities here, sooner or later.
And a lot of athletes, I know for us, the platform that athletes have is so tremendous and great, and we encourage athletes to speak on and stand up and speak on what they believe. If it's dear to their heart. And how was that experience for you? How, I guess, what emotions ran through you to know that you were stepping out on something that maybe was so uncommon that it may be, shunned or frowned upon, for you to start a whole organization for minority athletes to do something?
It was actually really frowned upon, because it got to a point where when I got hurt in that 2018 season, because I started it that summer, when I got hurt, because I got hurt, they wanted to
tie it in.
You know what I mean? And it was like, you're too busy, you're this, you're that. No, this is my passion. This is what I love to do. You know what I mean? Just because this is my passion doesn't mean it's gonna take away from what I need to do, which is perform in that field. I mean, this is just my passion. Like, I love doing this. I love doing this so much more than I did homework. And it's like, being around my dudes. Like, I have more friends on other teams now than sometimes even on my own team. Like, I got friends on the soccer team, the track, basketball, that'll be friends forever. And it wouldn't happen if there wasn't for this organization, and it's brilliant people that help connect all of us together. And now it's going to be a close-knit family. We kind of want to make it like a fraternity eventually. Hopefully it gets big enough, but that's the goal.
It's still going on, like you said, and without you. So obviously there's a strong foundation that's attached to it. Speak to a little bit more before we head out. I want you to speak to some advice that you would give athletes as it relates to, what's the process of when you believe in something? How do you approach it, to stand on it, to really try to make a change or try to make an impact? Because again, so many athletes either won't because of the fear of loss, and I know that's the fear of losing everything because you stand for something is really strong in in the society. So what would you recommend for them to do?
Right. Well, for me, man, I got to a point in my life where I was so strong in knowing who I am and my faith that no matter what it was, and no matter who it was, I had so much respect as a man that if I wanted to go do something, I could have done it based on what I did prior.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was able to go into the meeting with President Drake and Gene Smith and sit down with them and have these educated conversations, and they believed me. They after the first year, they watched us go through all that. They saw the progress, they saw the stability, the foundation, what we created. You know, it wasn't like we just went in the backyard, we just threw something together. No, it took time.
Yeah.
After 1 year, they started dumping funds into us. Now we're able to do more. Now we're doing it, you know, and it's gonna keep going.
Yeah.
And for my athletes, man, out there, you know, this is something I believe by, you know, I live by, and it comes down to two things: confidence and belief capacity. You know what I mean? And I spoke on this the other day in the last interview I did, but if you don't believe that you can accomplish something, you won't accomplish it. If you don't believe you can go D1, you're not going to go D1. You know what I mean? If your goal is here, but you don't believe you can surpass it, how are you going to reach that goal? You're just going to keep training and then it's going to happen? No. You got to believe you're a first rounder. You got to believe I'm a starter in the D1 school so you can become D1. All my goal is to go D2. Why? Yeah, you might be D2 talent, might be D3 talent, but why is that your goal? Make your goal D1 so that when you get that D2 scholarship, it wasn't a surprise. It's D2, but that's not my goal. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, your belief capacity has to be so greater that every time I'm on that field, I can't be stopped. And that's because it's just my belief. Yeah, you're going to get got, just like Marshawn said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to get got, but at the same time, it's like, that's cool. But I'm still like that because I believe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that confidence is what's going to excel you through life. That's not just through sports. That's in life in general when it comes to the business world, when it comes to whatever your profession might be, you know, and be goal-oriented and stay positive because it's easy to get into that mindset where you down in the drain. You know what I mean? You down low and it's like, how can I be, you know, belief capacity, confidence, and I say my top two things I want to give the young guys to say that's the difference. I've seen so many talented guys come in and out of a locker room and not make it. Just because, like 5 stars, just because, you know, stuff at home, maybe it's, but whatever, it's just their mind, their spirit, their body that isn't clear. You know what I mean? And they're flustered. There's something wrong with them. So it's like, find your goals, be goal oriented, write something up on your wall, look at it every time you leave the room. You know what I mean? Like every day you should be blessed that you're still alive. Every day isn't guaranteed. Every day you want to get better. You know what I mean? How can I do that? You know what I mean? That's how I look at it.
And one of the things, and I haven't been able to speak to, and on a series, on a part 2, we may have to do it, but I do want to touch on it. And Austin again was one of the early athletes that I had in terms of training, but there was an approach that I took with Austin, and this approach is now an approach that I do take. I'm a lot more sensitive to taking this approach with athletes now, but it's an approach that I took with Austin, and I just went completely in on this approach because I personally felt at the time that he was a vessel in which the approach is you know, something that can be taken. And one of the things that, you know, when I look at my time and my investment in Austin, what I've been able to, you know, pass down from principal standpoint, one of my greatest inspirations, or really my inspiration as to why I even approach what I approach from a human development standpoint, from a sacrificial standpoint, was because I grew up with my father showing me a lot of Muhammad Ali. Like, I seen a lot of Muhammad Ali, and I had to study Muhammad Ali and see the impact of Muhammad Ali. And most people loved him after he was gone. They didn't love him as much when he was here after a certain amount of time. And he sacrificed the peak of his career to benefit humanity, I would say. And when you look at his passing and how everything kind of went, I think he was one of the only people that I can't recall, I don't want to say it, but they did something with the flag. I think they raised it a certain height. It was something, but they don't typically do it for everybody. but it was speaking to the impact that he had in the world. And the thing why I think Muhammad Ali was so effective was, one, he was sacrificing for something that was greater, and he stood by that sacrifice. But then, two, Muhammad Ali can speak multiple languages. And I'm not talking about, language as it relates to, maybe we speak English or somebody speaks, Arabic or something. I'm talking about he can actually communicate with people on a much greater scale than what a lot of people could, and he had a platform to do so.
That's why he's the people's champ.
Yeah, and that's why he's the people's champ and the greatest athlete ever. So I know that there's a lot of athletes that are starting to do certain things, and you never take away from what they're doing, but you're gonna have to bring a really, really good argument to say that there's a greater athlete off the field in terms of sacrifice than Muhammad Ali. And so one of the approaches I took with Austin was, I was always taught when I was younger to not speak baby language. And what baby language is if you ever have been around a child, and obviously I'm 1 year in this thing, so I know what baby language is, literally now. But baby language is basically a communication style where only the person who's speaking it understands it. It's a language that only my son may understand, or maybe you may understand. Like, I can't even receive what you're saying because I can't make out what you're saying.
Right.
And I think a lot of people speak baby language when they talk to people, being that they can't even relate or communicate for somebody to understand what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And so one of the approaches that I took with Austin was, it was a faith approach. It was, Austin would come and ask me questions, and I would answer, his questions, and to the best of my ability, the best of my knowledge. And it got to a point where Austin was learning about multiple faiths, and it wasn't just the religion that he was brought up in, the traditionalism or anything. He was learning about multiple ones. And the reason why I believe I was helping him or introducing him to those was because there's different languages we speak spiritually. And what happens is, because spirituality and religion is such a touchy topic, people don't often go into it. But then what happens is sometimes people only speak that language. And so in order to reach certain people, you got to know what they're talking about in terms of that language. And so it was with Austin where we would sit down and we would study. We would study out the Bible. We would study out the Old Testament, the New Testament. We would study out the Holy Quran. We would just study, and we would go through stuff. And what he was learning was different languages, because if he was going to be given a platform or be introduced to a platform, then his reach would be expanded based on the language that he would communicate in. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing. And I can tell you now that, there was so many people that just disagreed with what was going on in terms of him learning it. And it had nothing to do with him being forced in something. It was just learning it so that he can speak the language.
Right. And now, and it made me be able to relate to a multitude of people. And now, like, I tell everybody this: when you first start, learning and studying, you gotta keep studying. You can't, as soon as you learn something, you can't just be like blabbing your mouth. You gotta keep studying. You gotta stay low, low key, keep learning. And now it's like, I can go relate to talk. I can go have conversations, and I could talk about all types of faith: Judaism, Islam, Christianity. I can even, if you want to get into spirituality, I read Eckhart Tolle. We could talk about, chakras if you want to, but we are all connected spiritually, and there's truths in everything. And so, like, for me, being able to tie this into my daily life, that's who I am. I'm a faith-driven person, you know what I mean? And I'm a God-fearing man. So by doing that, I know that everybody has it in them. I don't know what it is for you, but you might not know. I might drop something on you. You might even know it's an a Muslim type of thing. You won't even know, but just like how you did with pork all the time back in the day. You know what I mean?
No, first of all, because a lot of people come at me about that. A lot of people come at me. That's not just a Muslim thing.
Absolutely not.
So don't
but
they're gonna hear this, and I'm gonna get a bunch of text messages because of this.
No.
But yeah, I do tell children to stop eating pork. I do. But it's a bad food for anybody to eat.
Right.
And you can come at me for it or whatever, but it is what it is. Eat chicken.
But now, to go into that a little bit more, tie it all up, like, you just want to fill up your spirit, man. Like, sometimes like just the hey, what's up ain't as fulfilling as, you know, just a good conversation with maybe your bros.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like that's how you help, you know, like in my circle of guys, you know, from college, I mean, we challenge each other all the time. And sometimes we send each other articles, books, and this and that, or maybe we're struggling with something. Hey, bro, hey, check out this podcast. I just you know, listened to on Super Souls by Oprah Winfrey. You know, like anything, and it's this constant hunger to keep learning and keep growing.
So I think, and that's the other thing for athletes, is that I wanted to express one of the approaches that I took with Austin, because when you look at Austin, he has an interesting dynamic. He's mixed, right? And so I know this may not be interesting, but he's mixed. And so his mother is white, his father is black. He studied multiple spiritualities. And so his ability to tap into every single aspect and to be able to connect with people, you know, they say connect before you correct. Well, if I don't feel like you can connect with me, or I feel like you don't care about me, I don't really care about what you got to say anyways. Right. That's the common mindset. And so I think he's a good representation of somebody who's desirous of learning multiple things and really trying to help to a point where his cheeks turn red. If you ever seen that Austin Mack,
it's eczema, man. It's the eczema.
No, it's not. When he gets mad, his cheeks turns red. He did it his first 707 tournament in Florida, when some dude was jamming him up, some dude was dogging him.
And I still caught a tutty.
And he started crying on the sideline. He was like, what do I do? And I'm just like, I don't know, figure it out. But he overcame that. But we'll definitely have another one, because I think that
no doubt
throughout his journey, I think it's something that a lot of athletes can learn from. And he's willing to help. He's willing to assist. And he's always ready for the moment, correct? Is that
that's the little thing.
The ready for the moment?
Ready for the moment.
He's ready for the moment. So we'll love to hear feedback. Follow us on Facebook at Traction Athletic Performance. On Instagram is Traction AP, as well as on Twitter is Traction AP.
Yeah. So last thing before I head out, man, I just want to let everybody know, man, I'm accessible. I'm not, even though I'm in the league, man, I'm just like you. You know what I mean? I came from the same place.
Don't let them fool y'all.
Came from, you know, the same roots in Fort Wayne, you know, so we all trying to get the same spot. You know what I mean? So hit up if anybody has any questions, man. I'll definitely get back to everybody if I can. So it's definitely been a great time being here.
Yeah, that if I can means he won't get back with you. All right.